Let's see if we can get it to fault. Right, that surging is exactly what it's doing. I was steady on the throttle and it just surges several times before changing. Alright, so that's the problem. Finally managed to capture it. I need to see if I can track that down. I'm suspicious of the map sensor, so we're going to have a play with that. Well, this is awkward. I've got a car that won't start. Just going to throw the Nanocom on it and see it. It's been going so well, and I've just pulled into Rangiora to pick something up. And now the engine will start and it immediately dies. When I pulled in, I had a bit of what looked like steam curling out from under the bonnet. Don't need this. See if we got any faults. Airflow circuit logged high. That doesn't seem like something that would stop it. Well, we're stuck here a long way from home with an engine that won't run. Just going to check the fluids. Okay, so we're still over full on oil, but we got plenty of oil and it still looks really clean, like it's quite new, but I'm not seeing any water in there and I'm wondering if we've cooked something. Okay, let's find some more water. Alright, I've been shopping. I'm going to try and get this off slowly because it's going to be hot. Luckily these are threaded in. Wow. Zero pressure. Zero fluid. The zero pressure thing worries me quite a bit. Where's the water gone? Okay, and I also don't like pouring cold water straight into a hot engine. But don't have a lot of choices here. Actually, I did have some options, and this probably wasn't the best one. I could have called the AA. I have membership for that. I typically tend to forget that I've got that membership, though. I try to be pretty independent with vehicles, and I don't like involving other people unless I need to, so I went for the option of driving home. It probably wasn't the best option, given that I knew that all the water had gone, or at least enough water that there was zero pressure in the cooling system. If I saw this problem again, I would look at probably just ringing the AA and getting it towed home. Anyway, on with the clip. So we'll pour some in and then hopefully we can start the engine and get it circulating with thirsty. Very thirsty. It's bubbling away. Alright, we may have an explosion event here. Hot and dry in there. Get another bottle ready. I'm going to try and start the engine. It does appear to be calming down a little. It's not ideal. Started good again. With it running, much safer to just slowly pour the water in. Now it's circulating. Can't get any really horrible interesting. Let's try bleeding it. Yep, we've got air coming out of there, steam. I didn't do that. That'll be making room over here. Still bubbling out of here. So the whole system appears to have been dried. Very hot in there. There we go. Boiling. Right, I'm going to close that up completely, seal that off. Still blowing air out of here. There's a lot of air here. How are we losing? A little bit of water. I don't know there's much more I can do on the side of the road. It is boiling. I know from experience when the head gasket goes on these things, it can do something like this, and it can seem like it's running fine, and then it'll overheat. I hope we don't have a blown head gasket. Because that would be a problem. Still blowing air out of here. We haven't actually bled this. One thing you can do is lift this tank. This is clipped in. By raising this tank up to here, it's above the other point and it will bleed out. Right, I'm going to try and find something to lift that up. I'm going to try and get some more water in it, and then I'll come back and let you know whether I'm walking home or not. Alright, Right, I ended up putting about 8.5 litres of water into it, not counting what it spewed back up. That seems like it was pretty bloody empty, so sorry I didn't film any more of it. I was struggling to work one-handed and I only had 9 litres of water, so I am now making a run for home, trying to get home before anything else untoward happens. I wasn't watching the temperature gauge, so I have no idea whether it had spiked or not. So I'm not really sure what's going on. At this point, I just want to get home so that I can let it cool down and then see if I can figure out what's going on. This could be a blown head gasket. That is my initial thought, and that is a really uncomfortable thought if it is, because that could be an expensive job. And I could have just gone from the nicest Discovery I own to the not nicest. So let's nurse this thing home and throw it in the driveway, and then we'll have a look at it once it's cooled down. Alright, see the steam pouring out. That's not good. Oh god damn. That is not good at all. Alright, well, I was really happy with this truck for 24 hours. Yeah, when I first got it, I do recall saying that I thought there might have been a water leak and I should probably track that down. We got a bit of a leak here, and I'm not sure, but I think that that's a coolant leak. So what I'm hoping is that that was the case, and that what's actually happened is I've burst a hose. I couldn't see it in the car park. I could see water dripping, but I knew that the way I was pouring it in, it was slopping around a bit. I guess what I need to do now is try and figure out, is this just a burst hose, or have I actually got a head gasket problem? If it's a head gasket problem, that's going to get pricey and time consuming, which is a real problem because I'm running out of options as far as vehicles to drive. I guess worst case I can throw the tyres back on the blue truck and just keep driving it till it dies. I don't want to do that. I have retired the blue truck at a point where if there is anything recoverable in its engine, it is still recoverable. Having said that, if I've cooked the head in this, then I have serious engine problems here. I guess I have a spare head in the blue truck, but it's just a whole lot of stuff I don't have time for right now, so I'm going to top up the water system in this and see if I can see anything obviously leaking. We'll see how we go, eh? No obvious leaking oil or anything. We've got a little bit of dampness on the fuel pressure regulator, but it's not bad. That might actually be just a wee bit of oil out the back of the rocker gasket. Yeah, I don't think that's too bad. What I'm looking for is obvious leaks. Wet bits of hose that would indicate a split or a pinhole. I don't know if there's enough water left in the system that it wouldn't have all dried out and gone away. This top hose can be a failure point, and it's a pretty common one to get and replace. I have had one of these blow out on me before. It's not a lot of fun when that happens. But I cannot see, like there's a little bit of schmuzz just here where it's obviously been leaking a little bit, but there's no obvious sign that that's a massive leak. That's like a drip a month kind of slow build up of crystallized coolant. The V-belt looks good. While we're here, it's got a wee bit of wear on it, but it's not cracking. I have a spare one for one of these. There are two of, not V-belt, the multi-groove belt. There are two sizes of this. If you've got ACE, active cornering enhancement, then you need a longer belt because it goes around the pump for that as well. If you don't have ACE, then you need the smaller belt. Just something to be aware of. Well, I can't see anything obvious from here. It all looks okay. So, in the unlikely event I can find something underneath, I'm going to crawl under and have a look. And I'll let you know what I find. Alright, so I've had a look underneath. I cannot see anything down there that would be an obvious issue here. So at this point, really all I can do is fill it with water and try and be careful so that it doesn't go out the overflow, so I haven't got any drips or drains anywhere, and just see what happens. We'll pop this bleed screw. I think I found the problem. Alright, so to get to where I need to see where the leak is, I've got an oil cooler under here, I think, under the manifold, and it's quite possibly, there's a little rubber hose off the back of that onto a hard line. It's quite possible that that's actually what's leaking, given where I can see the water coming from. I can't really see, so I want to get this shield off. This one looks like it's never been off. They're a pain because there's a couple of bolts on top, but there's a couple of rivets here holding it to the actual turbo. So yeah, future Steve here, just interjecting again. It has been a while since I have done a turbo heat shield on one of these. I've taken one off and I'm remembering this completely wrong. There is a bolt that you can access. Quite often it is seized solid. In my case it is. I'm going to all the trouble of undoing these rivets to find I'm going to have to undo a couple more around the back, which you cannot get to very easily. Fortunately for me, the bracket is actually broken and drilling out these two rivets worked. If the bracket is not broken, which is probably the normal case, then you're pretty much going to have to get that bolt out. Now, one of the methods I have read that works for people is to run the vehicle up and get it really hot. Then it will break free. If that doesn't work, then you're going to have to drill out these two rivets, and then you're going to have to drill out the two rivets around the back somehow, or cold chisel them off with some special tool, because there's not a lot of room to work. So yeah, I am going about this the wrong way, but for me it's kind of the right way in the end, fortunately. But bit of a pain to get off. Worst case, angle grinders are a thing. We got lucky. I was not expecting that to come off. Alright, found the problem. So that is the oil cooler, and that is supposed to be a pipe. It shouldn't be blanked off like that, and whatever they've used to blank it off has failed, and we now have a problem. That there is in fact the outlet for the oil cooler. Now the oil cooler is fed internally from the block, and I believe it drains back in through the block, so the actual cooling for this oil cooler is via the block. That outlet there is supposed to run round a hard line round the back of the engine, which you can see it just there. So the hard line is there, the pipe has been removed. Actually, I'm not 100% sure even if that pipe is supposed to end there. I think it's supposed to be hard line coming right round the corner, and there's only a short piece of pipe that sits there, normally rubber pipe. The other end of that hard line feeds the EGR, so it's the cooler for the EGR. So the EGR has been deleted, and so that outlet pipe from the Discovery 2 service manual, the factory service manual, it says there's only a small amount of flow that comes out of that back pipe that's been blanked off. I'm going to get this off now, and then we're going to see if we can sort out some sort of proper blanking or more reliable blanking for it. Alright, so this is what remains of the cap. I think it was a one-piece cap at one point. It looks like it all fits together nicely, but it had obviously cracked and it was all broken, and it is very, very hard. So, I don't know if I can get another one of those. I guess I'll have to look into it. For now, I'm going to see if I can just make something. Alright, shout out to the boys at Repco Rangiora, thank you. They don't have blanking caps, but did me a sweet deal on a metre of 19mm hose, which I think is what I'm going to need. Alright, and here are the parts I need to make a blanking plug. Here is the blanking plug. So we're going to shove that in and see if we've got any leaks. And there we go. I'm going to leave the rubber, now that clamp's on, I'm just going to leave that for 10 minutes or so for the rubber to form and meld to the metal before I start throwing water into it. And then we'll try topping it up and see how we go. And then I'm probably going to run it for a few days on pure water. Just keep an eye on the water levels, keep an eye on engine temperatures. I am a little concerned at how hot it got. It could certainly have done some damage in the head area. Hopefully we haven't done any permanent damage. Alright, I left it for about an hour. I just like to leave new hoses clamped for a while before I start putting them under any kind of stress, just to allow the clamp to squeeze the rubber and get the rubber to seat nicely around wherever its new home is. Alright, and I am just going to fill this with water. I'm going to run it on water for the next few days and try and flush the system clean. It had green coolant in it. These are supposed to have OAT, organic acid something or other. OAT coolant shouldn't be mixed with the green type, so OAT is normally red. If you mix the two, my understanding is they turn to sludge and they'll block water galleries and things in the engine. So we'll give it a good flush out. Once I'm happy it's not leaking, I'll fill it with the proper OAT coolant, and hopefully that's the last I'll have to worry about the cooling system for a while. We'll see. So our bleeder is open here. Hopefully we should see water start to come out of there. We'll throw a wee bit more in. I'll just double check we're not leaking out the bottom. Check in here. That looks nice and dry. Feels nice and dry. Alright, so at this point this is fairly full. It's not coming out over there. We are higher, but only just. The thermostat will be fully closed, so it just may not be getting through. I'll just get all the stuff off the engine, then we'll start it, see what happens. Alright, kick it in the guts. Those strips are just the water I spilled up top, I hope. So now I'm going to call that hopefully good. I'll button up the bits and pieces that I can. We'll take this for a quick run down the road just to warm it up, assuming that's okay. Then I'm going to call it okay for now. Alright, so we just go for a quiet drive and get the truck up to temperature. We'll see whether the repair is actually working or not. Hopefully we'll have no leaks, and that'll be this repair complete. Looks like we're coming up on a very New Zealand sort of a roadblock. Hey Moose. Joys of living rural. People have to move stock around. And there we have it. After a few days, not a drop being spilt from the repair. It's nice and hot at the moment, so I'm not going to stick my fingers in there, but that is good as gold. Very happy with that, and really happy with this truck overall, actually. Alright, well, that's a repair that's gone quite well, I think. I've checked the pipe, it's not leaking. This is actually several days on from having done that repair, so I'm pretty confident, having put a few hundred Ks on it, that it's actually sealed up now. I still have the problem to deal with the transmission hunting, and that was supposed to be what this video was about, but as you've seen, something else popped up and got in the way, so we fixed that problem instead. So the next one, I'm going to have a look at that hunting problem, see if we can work out what it is. I think I know what it is, and so it's probably not going to be a terribly long video. I just don't want to put it on this one. This one's probably getting long enough as it is. So we'll get that sorted in the next video, and then really, aside from some little niggly things, this truck is done. I mean, it drives beautifully. The suspension collapses still over time. That's something I'll need to look at as well. Perhaps I'll do that one in the next video, I'm not sure yet. But for now, if you're interested, hang around for the next few minutes, and I'll take you on another wee tour around the roads of the district, and you can have a look around. If that's not your jam, then thanks for watching to this point, and I hope you got something from it, even if it was just a laugh at my stupidity. Then it was all worthwhile. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. It's in a wee bit of flood. It's not flood, but it's up at the moment. We've had a lot of rain. There's a wee bit of controversy over the Ashley at the moment. I believe they're trying to block access to it, to vehicles. There are some I want to say rare birds that nest on the Ashley River, and so they're trying to protect those, and as usual they take the ham-fisted approach of just banning everyone. I don't think that's really a good idea. I would prefer to see like a combined forces approach to protecting the area while still conserving people's rights to a recreation area that they can go four-wheel driving and jet boating and whatever else people do at a river. But pretty much, I guess like most countries, once the radical greenies get involved, they just want everything that isn't bare feet and braids banned. And don't get me wrong, I am not an anti-greenie. I believe in the environment, believe in looking after it, but I believe that we also have to live in it, share it, and enjoy it. And so I'm not a fan of the whole lock everything up and just look at it in postcards kind of a attitude that some people have. Right, if we followed this road, we'd end up in a place called Lowburn. Might go there one day. Today I'm going to head back towards Sefton, which is home for me, which is way over there somewhere. But we might take a scenic back route and just have a bit of a nosy around some of the back blocks of this area. I quite like this area, which is lucky since I live here. Don't tell anyone else it's nice. There's enough people here already. So this area around us here is a mixture of farms, small farms, and lifestyle blocks. Lifestyle block in New Zealand, if you don't know, is 10 acres. It's the smallest parcel of land that rural blocks are generally allowed to be divided into. And the only way to get a smaller one, to the best of my knowledge, is if you've got, say, 22 acres and you divide it into two 10-acre blocks, and then you've got two left over, which you can legally subdivide that, or not subdivide it, but you can have a 2-acre parcel. But most blocks, I think, are pretty much, by now, a lot of the ones that are being divided into lifestyle blocks are farms that got divided into nice round numbers at some point in the past. I know the block I live on was 20 acres before we bought it, and then they divided it in half. And at some point in the past, I think it might have been 60. This road, I can't remember what this road's called, but it's a nice area. The road's never in the greatest of condition, as you can probably tell. I apologise for that wooden clunking in the back. I still haven't quite cleaned the back of this truck out. But I do like this road, and I did, when Nikki and I were looking, we did kind of look up here, but there was nothing really available, and there seldom is. I guess people who live here like it too. The one thing I am glad, though, we don't live on a gravel road. We're surrounded by gravel roads. You can't get to our road without driving on gravel, which keeps some people out. I remember the first time my mum drove out, she was mortified. She actually drove down someone's lawn to avoid the gravel. She didn't want to get her car dirty, which I thought was funny. In fairness, it was a classic Mustang, and it had just been detailed, so, you know, she wasn't being prissy, just trying not to get dust all over the car. But it keeps people out, I guess. some people. Suits me just fine, I'm happy. But there's no dust today because it's rained pretty full on for the last couple of days. But in the height of summer, these roads, you can't drive on them at any speed without kicking up, a Big Pen style cloud of dust, which is just a nightmare if you live in one. I always feel quite bad driving out in the morning because it's a gravel road I drive down, and there's a couple of houses that, depending which way the wind's blowing, or if it's not, you just create this big cloud. But it's nice at the moment. It's damped down. But by the same token that it's a nuisance having a gravel road, I would hate to see this tar sealed. Probably get a lot more people up here. That rattle in the back's going to be really annoying on camera, I can tell. When you're on a really narrow road and there's a sign that said road narrows, but it does, it gets narrower. And up here, thanks to these two trees, it gets real narrow. I love this bit. I don't want to plant a couple of trees like that on my road. Just narrow it right